Thank you very much for joining me. Really excited to give you an update on Banyan's AurMac project and Banyan this year. It's been a great year, 2022, and 2023 is going to be an even more exciting year. This image is actually our project site, and for those of you that are following the story, you know that in that image you can see where our 4 million ounce resource is located. And you'll also notice that main highway through it, the power line that goes right through the middle of the property. And you notice that's really low, moderate topography, so very amenable to building a mine. When you have big, steep mountains, that actually makes development much more difficult. So this property has huge advantages as we continue to advance it, in addition to its gold endowment. So here's just an image of where we are located. 173 square kilometers is the main AurMac property. You can see Victoria Gold to the north and Hecla to the north of us as well on our property boundary. So 2 miners right beside us. That's a great position to be in. It shows that you can permit mines, you can build them and operate them. We have that excellent infrastructure. We have a team that has a track record of generating value, and I think through this presentation I will demonstrate that. And we're year-round. We have that exceptional infrastructure and a team that knows how to operate in the north, which means our drill season last year was January to December. This year we're taking a little bit more of a break and making it February to December, but lots of exciting news flow when you can operate year-round. People think of the Yukon as being seasonal. We're showing that that's not the case, and Victoria Gold operating their gold mine right down the road from us is also demonstrating that. I believe this is a new belt, the Tombstone Gold Belt, which you'll see in a video in the next slide. Within our property, within 40-kilometer radius of our property, there are already 16 million gold equivalent ounces in resources. And outside of that, you have things like Snowline, which doesn't have a resource yet, but is part of the same Tombstone intrusive belt of rocks. I think we've just scratched the surface on what we're going to find. You see that at Victoria Gold's Eagle. You know, they already have a producing mine, which will be a 200,000 ounce producer, and then they put out a new resource this year of 1.1 million ounces at Raven at 1.7 grams. So it shows you there's grade, and look to see that upgraded with the drilling that they did last year. So it is a really exciting jurisdiction, and I believe it's Canada's next mining jurisdiction. Our team has, all the skill sets to really advance this project. We've got added a new director, Mark Blythe, this year, all the experience that we need as we move this from exploration into development, Steve Burleton and David Reed. And we also added an advisor with Jason Neal, who has considerable experience both with corporates as well as with banking and investment in this sector. So a great team. In terms of finances, Banyan's in a really great position. We started this year with $19 million in the bank. You can see we have 48% high net worth and institutional investors, including Franklin Precious Metals and Gold at 9.8%, Victoria Gold at 11%, and Osisko Development at 4%. I'm personally a big shareholder, and I'm the third CEO of this company. I took over in 2016, so I've had to purchase my position in the market, which means I've invested over $1.2 million in the last 2 years alone. So I'm pretty significantly vested to make my money alongside my shareholders, and you'll see that in my financings as well. The last 3 financings have all been very well priced for shareholders. The last one in December was about a 3% discount to market with no warrants. So that really does, I think, let not only people that invest in the financings make money, but also those people that buy in the market. So that money puts us in a great position for this year. Our current budget is having us spend about $10 million in our exploration program, and that'll leave us about $9 million in the treasury. Of course, we have optionality. Our project, we can upscale that at any time during the year, but we have some really exciting catalysts coming this year. The key one is we have 50 more drill holes pending, and we plan a resource update by mid-year. We do have coverage from Cormark. Richard Gray's been covering the story, and he has a price target of $1.25, as well as many of you might follow the resource maven, Gwen Preston. She also covers us and has us in her $200,000 portfolio. Our share price has done really well. If you watched us in the last, both volume and price over the last week, we've had considerable volume. We do know there are some funds purchasing in the market, which is always great, up to 49 and 50 cents, even 51. And I think you'll see we plan to continue to add value and really drive that share price through 2023. So here's just an outline of the resource on the property. The orange is a surface projection of that 4 million ounce resource, and all the black dots are drill holes that are in the resource. The yellow dots are all drill holes that we've released this year, and Robert gave one of those holes the 84 meters of 1.14, which is actually way out to the east and directly in line with where the yellow star is, 2 kilometers out from that hole, where we've also intersected significant mineralization. So in all, you're seeing 5 kilometers of mineralized strike that we've demonstrated with drill holes, not just geochem, that's actual drill holes. And just for context, if you look at the largest orange blob, that's our POWERLINE resource. It contains 3 million ounces, as it is there, and roughly it's 1.2 kilometers east to west, just for scale. So we believe that this resource has tier 1, or this property has tier 1 potential. And for those of you that wonder, why do we care? What's tier 1? What does that mean? Well, the major mining companies, when they're looking for projects, they want things that are tier 1, which for them is plus 5 million ounces, and that will produce 300,000 ounces per year, because that is a key metric for them to be able to include it in their list of projects. It needs to have the economics that it would be commensurate with a large company, and so that is kind of a minimum threshold, and that's when they start to look at these kind of projects. Also really important for mining projects, particularly when you're looking at heap leach projects, which we think this is very similar to the heap leach mine down the road, Victoria Gold, is strip ratio, because that's an indication of how much material you have to move. So grade is important, but strip ratio is also very important. 0.34 to 1 is a very low strip ratio. That means that this mineralization occurs on surface and near surface, and that makes this very, very exciting. And remember, the life of mine grade of the project down the road, Victoria Gold's Eagle, was 0.64 in their feasibility study, and their strip ratio was 0.95 to 1. So we have a better strip ratio and comparable grade and better infrastructure than they had when they started. So exciting year for us coming up. All right, here's the video, just in a different order. So we're going to zoom in. There's that Tombstone mining belt. The projects you can see all around us with that considerable resources and considerable resource potential. We have both our Nitra property off to the west and our AurMac property, so that gives us almost 300 square kilometers in the district. You can see Victoria Gold, the location of Raven and the mine there, and Hecla Mining just to the north of us with their high-grade silver. POWERLINE goes right through that property. It actually goes to a hydroelectric dam that's just 50 kilometers away near the community of Mayo. And our property has extensive existing roads on it, as you can see in the imagery there, including the access road out to Victoria Gold. And as we start to zoom in on AurMac, you'll see those resources come up, the airstrip. We have 3 deposits within the AurMac resource, the airstrip, the POWERLINE, and the Aurex Hill. And we do believe that POWERLINE and Aurex Hill are contiguous, and you will see that with our drilling this year, and you'll see the drill holes come up fairly shortly, that we have connected them with mineralization. Airstrip is different. It's a calcareous replacement deposit. It's about 90 to 110 meters thick, and it dips at about 60 degrees underneath the POWERLINE deposit. The POWERLINE deposit is typical of these Tombstone intrusive deposits, very similar to Snowline and Victoria Gold. It's a sheeted vein system. Key difference is that we haven't yet found our intrusive that's created all this mineralization. We're still in the Hornfells, and there you can see the POWERLINE deposit, the 1.2 kilometers across. But really, we now have that 5 kilometers here. In 2022, we drilled 50,000 meters to add to this resource, and we still have about 50 holes outstanding. So we're planning our resource update for mid-year after we receive those assays. And there you can see the connection between POWERLINE and Aurex Hill and all the drill holes that we have subsequent to this resource update. So really, the mineralization here is quite extensive, and there's lots of targets left for us to follow up on, both this year as well as in the future. It's a very big area. So let's just zoom in and talk a little bit about the POWERLINE deposit itself. It had 3 million ounces of the 4 million ounces, and it's the one with that lowest strip ratio. Now, if we were just to look at the sensitivity table for POWERLINE, we picked 0.2 as a cutoff grade because that's a typical cutoff grade for a heap leach project, similar to Victoria Gold and other projects. But if we were to pick 0.5, we would have still had 2 million ounces at almost 1 gram. So that shows you that this deposit hangs together very, very well, and there are higher grade areas. And so part of our focus of last year and starting this year is to continue to develop some of those high grade areas so that we find areas which could be our potential starter pit or starter pits, which would really drive the economics of a project here. And also not necessarily right underneath the infrastructure, as one of our high-grade pits right now is right underneath some of that key infrastructure. We can move both the POWERLINE and roads. That's something that's possible in the Yukon, but it would be way cheaper for a project if you could actually get connected. So this is just showing you that district scale potential that we have. You can see right around the POWERLINE and Aurex Hill deposit, we continue to have soil anomalies. And you see that pink unit that goes across in the geophysics. That's actually resistivity, which is showing you the properties of the host rock. And we can see this host rock that's hosting POWERLINE and Aurex Hill over the course of our property, 16 kilometers east to west. So we think we have lots of room yet to explore on this property. And here you can see we zoomed in on the Aurex Hill where we have that 2 kilometer step out. And people ask, well, why did you step out to drill that hole 2 kilometers to the east? Why didn't you go a little bit further? The reason was because that was the limit of where we could drill without wintertime drilling. So that was as far east as we could go until March this year, when we do plan to go east of that hole. We have a really exciting year plan with the drill results that we had last year, and actually the whole database of geochemistry that we now have. We've gone right back and looked at our data, looking at understanding the geochemical element ratios, which can give you vectors of heat flow directions, potentially helping us find higher grade zones, along with the structural. We know that this is very much a structurally controlled deposit. So going back and redoing with new LiDAR a structural analysis combined with overlaying the geochemistry has been really exciting for us, because there's nothing like 20/20 vision or being able to look back. We now have a huge database, and it's given us a wealth of new information. It's helped us identify some high-value targets. We've got lots of great drill holes to follow up on, and we continue to look for that where the intrusive might have come. Generally, these types of deposits, and just for those of you that don't know how these kind of deposits are formed, you have a hot molten body, a rock that's pushing up, and often the intrusion, as it's called, is where you get the highest grade. That's like Snowline has drilled into their intrusive. Victoria Gold is mining their intrusive. Well, we're in the host rocks. It's a metasedimentary package of rocks where that gold has leaked out into it. So, many people keep asking me, where's the intrusion? Have you found it yet? No, we haven't found it, but that is part of the treasure hunt. We are definitely looking for where this mineralization come from. And generally, in the Tombstone, it's been shown that it's not more than 5 kilometers away, and we do have 173 square kilometers here. Our Nitra property out to the west, we're pretty excited about that as well. We think it has a very similar geochemical signature to our POWERLINE deposit. So we did put some holes out there and some soils, and we will follow up with a program out there again this year. Metallurgy is key component for any mining project. Can you recover the gold? We have a very extensive metallurgical program underway this year. We started with bottle rolls on pulps from Airstrip and POWERLINE, and we got 90% recoveries, which is very positive that this has cyanide amenability from both oxide and sulfide. We've continued and followed up on that with gold deportment studies, some vat leach testing, and now some column leach tests, which are underway, which will help us demonstrate that this is potentially a heap leach project. We do know that from what we found that it's not refractory, which is really positive. In order to do that, we had to assemble the right team. We're using the same consultants as Victoria Gold, the heap leach mine down the road. They have heap leach experts, both helping them with their metallurgy as well as helping with their reconciliation. As you mine, you want to know, are you actually recovering the amount of gold that you predicted? And everything we know so far is that that's been very successful for Victoria Gold. We've also hired ourselves an independent consultant and are building our internal capacity on this as we move forward into the development and engineering phases, which are coming fast for Banyan. Everybody in the Yukon knows how important ESG is. That's something our team does very well. We're very committed to hiring and training in the community and working with the Notchonaic First Nation as our partner. I'm very committed to the community and have been for over 11 years now, running a charity, 100% volunteer, which my team helps out with, working closely with kids and communities and helping with dealing with some of the educational issues which are keeping kids from getting to school. And it's something we're very well known about. And demonstrating that we have really good social support is the fact that we have a permit to 2028, which is a very robust permit. In the Yukon, you need to have those connections in order to get through the permitting process, and that's something that having a permit of that length really shows. And you know what? Our project has huge advantages from an ESG perspective. We already installed propane generators, which are also in partnership with the NND's Development Corp, which reduce our greenhouse gas emissions from using diesel by over half. And we are already looking at getting connected to the grid, which, you know, obviously being connected to the hydroelectric dam or the grid that connects to the hydroelectric dam would be a huge advantage for us, both financially as well as from a greenhouse gas perspective. So, you know, it's been a really short journey. I became the CEO in 2016. We optioned this property in 2017. And I will say, you know, I knew about this property. I actually purchased the placer assets privately way back in 2013 that are right over top of this property. And the best indication of gold, you know, other than a soil sample, is a placer anomaly right near a project. Flash forward, you know, we did a whole bunch of geological work. By the fall of 2019, we thought we had something here. We had a model. We raised a small amount of money, did a small drill program in the fall, starting at drilling in October to drill out that first resource of 900,000 ounces, which we put out in the spring of 2022 at $2 per ounce in exploration cost. Then 40,000 meters later, by spring of 2022, we put out the 4 million ounce resource at less than $5 per ounce, or, you know, adding 70 ounces per meter we drilled. So that's pretty good value. Our team tends to really spend our money well. We've done a lot to make ourselves more efficient as we continue to grow. So in 2022, we drilled another 50,000 meters, which will go into our resource update that's planned for mid-year this year. And in the meantime, we're already gearing up. Our team will be heading out here mid-February to get our camp opened up, and we plan to start aggressively with 4 drills in March. So look for lots of exciting news flow from us. You know, there aren't a lot of projects in Tier 1 locations where you can permit a project which have 6 million plus ounces. That is a really important threshold to meet, and it's one that we're on track for. We've got 2 mines beside us showing that you can build a mine and operate a mine. We know that Victoria Gold is a potential acquirer. You know, they own 11% of us. They'll be cash flowing probably over 150 million per year. When they reach their 200,000 ounce target per year, it'll be a very exciting day for everybody in the Yukon and everybody in the Tombstone district. Hecla Mining, you know, they're putting a lot of money into that project. They plan to be back in production by this summer, and it's obvious, to me anyway, that they've made an investment in the Yukon and see lots of geological potential beyond just the Keno Hill area. Our valuation's pretty compelling at about $15 per ounce. We're a year-round story, with very aggressively advancing this project with a team that knows how to do that. So through 2023, we've got the next 50 holes coming from last year. We'll have our resource update. Now that we have a prep lab on site, you can expect us to get our assays back much quicker. So that'll probably give us news flow, maybe even before we get our resource out, continuing to expand this. We're starting from a great position with 4 million ounces already, and we're fully funded for our first phase of exploration of 25,000 meters for our met work, our geotechnical work, our metallurgy, and that resource update. And, you know, will leave us in a very strong position going into 2024.